So nearby Nisha, what's your favourite PS1 era driving game?
Crash Team Racing.
Mine's Vigilante 8. Come at me. Game kicks ass. If you're the kind of person who likes to whip a tricked out hypercar around a bend at 90 miles an hour like a boss, it's a good chance that you're a fan of the Gran Turismo series. Also, honey, is it Gran Turismo or is it Gran Turismo, would you say?
I know.
It's a Japanese game. How would you pronounce Turismo?
I don't know.
That's the thing, you're also American as well, and I know Americans pronounce it Turismo sometimes. A franchise that has consistently pushed the limits of the PlayStation hardware in an effort to render cars in ever more incredible detail. The series owes its existence to a huge car nerd and a single sentence pitch to a Sony executive. And first of all, Nisha, you wanted to do this article today because you're a big fan of driving games, yes?
Well, when I was younger, I had so many for PS1. I had Need for Speed, V-Rally, Gran Turismo, I had Driver, Crash Team Racing, I even had Wipeout. I know it's not cars, but still like racing.
Still a racing game, yes.
Yeah, I had so many of those, so I was like excited, like, oh, I could talk about retro games.
Yes, and I'm a fan of racing games, but in particular arcade racers, where the emphasis is more on fun than it is simulation. And one of the games I fondly remember is the game Juiced, if you ever played that.
I don't think I played that one.
Well, Juiced was like one of those Need for Speed rip-offs, but the gimmick was you could pink slip other people.
What?
And like you could race them for their car. My brother adored that game, and for like his like 25th birthday, I bought him a PS2 and a copy of Juiced. And I remember because his missus sent me a photo of him sat in front of the TV like 2 feet away like a toddler, just playing the game with his thing. And his girlfriend's like, "What are you doing, Dan?" He's like, "I'm fucking pink slipping TK the bastard. He took my Supra."
Oh, I do miss like the old retro games though.
Just something about arcade races. Like I want them to come on. I'd bring Burnout back. I want Burnout back so much.
See, that's another one I never played either, but I hear a lot about it.
It's because you can crash the cars. And something that I dislike about racing simulation games like Gran Turismo, or Turismo for the Americans, and things like Forza, is their emphasis is on realising the cars in such incredible detail that they need the permission of the manufacturers to do that. Yeah. And the manufacturers don't want to put in stuff like realistic car destruction and damage because they don't want footage of one of their cars swinging around a corner at 90 miles an hour and crashing into a crowd of people and exploding in HD. Understandably, but at the same time, I want to do that because I want to see the car crash. Well, even when I play proper racing games, I still just crash people off the road. And I forget which Need for Speed game it is, but there's one where like the gimmick is you sometimes have races through the desert with your rival.
Yeah.
And I would always go out of my way to just ram them off the road so they get stuck in the desert and like push their car behind like a cactus and then just drive super slow. Well, to bring it back to the topic of today's video, Gran Turismo, the series owes its existence to a man called Kazunori Yamauchi, a self-professed car otaku who spent most of his childhood more obsessed with cars, vehicles and driving than he did with girls. And did you know any people like that when you were growing up? Because my brother was one of those kids where he'd go buy like Fast Car magazine. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And people don't know what Fast Car magazine is. It was magazines about fast cars, if you can believe it. And it's like when you're like a teenager, like my brother's, oh yeah, I can ask my parents for this magazine because it's about cars, but it's full of women with their tits half out.
I can't say I know anyone who was like that.
You know anyone who like read Fast Car magazine?
No, not really.
I want to roast my brother a little bit now, because he is one of those guys. Do you know the guys like revs his car and stuff like that?
Oh no.
He's not so much anymore. He bought himself a very sensible car with great mileage, so he can just drive around in style. But when he got his first car, he did get the tricked out Fiesta, I think it was, with the body kit. And he got like the £500 like bass system in the back. And I remember him picking me up from the train station once. And he had a pre-made music playlist of like hard style dance music called Bad Boy FM.
Oh my god.
We just drove through Scunthorpe listening to Bad Boy FM at max volume.
Was it like nightcore music?
Yeah. I describe it. Do you know the song Put a Donk on It? Remember that song?
Yeah.
Like where everyone in the video talks like me? Here's a clip.
You know what you want to do with that, right? You want to put a banging donk on it.
Do you know what I need to do? I need to set up like an official Fiend Spotify so we can make Bad Boy FM.
God.
And we can get Bad Boy FM for all those like boy races out there, and we'll have Bad Boy FM, we'll have Mum's Kitchen Megamix. Have I ever told the story behind that on the channel?
I don't know if you told it on the channel, but I know the story roughly.
So Mum's Kitchen Megamix was just like we were at a house party once looking for a song, like a playlist playing on Spotify, and we found something called Mum's Kitchen Megamix, and it was like some lady, like clearly someone's mom, who didn't know that when she made a playlist it was public.
Oh, yeah.
And she very quickly deleted it because like everyone at that house party followed it, and she wants to go. So I'd never been able to find the playlist, so I made one that has like the same. It's got like Maroon 5 and all that shit on it.
Okay, so bring it back to the article.
Yes.
This guy loved cars.
So much so that his childhood, teenage years, and early adulthood were all spent thinking about cars more than girls. And the story goes that Yamauchi got into game development because he just wanted to make driving games. He now has one of the most enviable positions in the industry for people who like cars, because he is the guy who gets to decide what goes into the new Gran Turismo games.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gran Turismo is one of those series where everyone wants to be in it because it's the game if you like cars. And he is constantly being wined and dined and courted by companies who make the very expensive hypercars that they want featured in the game. So he's constantly at events, he's constantly being invited to them, and like all these companies like, would you like to come drive our new Lamborghini, our new Ferrari? Wouldn't it be great if this was on the front of the Gran Turismo box? And he's talked in interviews before. It's nice. It's a mark of change when I first started working on Gran Turismo, and I reached out to these companies asking them, can we put your car in our game? And they're like, fuck off. Because they didn't know what video games were, and now those same companies are like, please put our car in your game.
Or how the tables have turned. Or as Michael Scott would say, oh, how the turntables.
Yeah.
Well. How the turntables...
According to Yamauchi, the genesis for the Gran Turismo series was a game he worked on called Toon Grand Prix for the Super Nintendo system, which, despite appearing to be an arcadey racer in the vein of things like Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing or Crash Team Racing, was actually kind of groundbreaking for a racing game at the time, because it included a lot of simulation elements that would become staples of games like Gran Turismo. And the game featured a lot of realistic elements, quote unquote, such as like weight for the cars and like turning a suspension and that sort of thing. And he thought that idea was good enough to be spun off into its own game. So much so that he decided to pitch the idea to a Sony executive. And it's important to note at this point in time, Sony did not make their own hardware, they just made games for other companies. And most pictures consisted of quite detailed write-ups for the games the person wanted to make. But Yamauchi's was 9 words long and consisted of the following: I want to drive a car on my television.
That's it.
That was it. He wrote that on a piece of paper and sent it to his boss.
What?
Yeah.
That's just so vague.
I want to drive a car on my television. And the executive was intrigued by this idea and asked to speak with Yamauchi, and he explained his thought process, and he showed them the game he was working on, and he explained the systems in it and how he hoped they could be spun off into a fully realized vehicle sim. And despite having no real experience making a game like that, he was given permission to do so. But it gets better, because this took place before the seeds of the PlayStation console existed. And it's noted that the existence of Gran Turismo in-house is one of the reasons Sony decided to get into the console market themselves, because they realized that the Super Nintendo system was not powerful enough to realize such a game.
So this game helped make the PlayStation?
Yes, because the executives realised that to make a game like this, there'd need to be more powerful hardware, and that they, as a hardware company, could make that hardware and then make the games for it and sell both.
Oh, okay. So was Gran Turismo like the first ever game on PlayStation 1 then?
It's one of the very earliest ones,
I didn't know that. Do you know what the first game was?
It'll be in a fact bar below, no doubt.
I'm interested what the very first game was.
Yeah,
My first game was Lemmings.
That might be one. That was like I think that was like an early PC game that got ported over to it. But Gran Turismo is not the sole reason the PlayStation exists. It's just one of many contributing factors. And another one is Final Fantasy VII. And I'm probably getting the details on this one a little bit muddy, but I think it's like Sony were going to make a new console for Nintendo that used discs, and Nintendo didn't like it, so Sony decided to take the idea for themselves and make the PlayStation.
Okay.
But you know what? That's an idea for another day.